Well, we can now speak to Khaled Mahajneh. He's a Palestinian lawyer who visited the Israeli detention facility, Sde Teiman, where hundreds of Palestinians from Gaza are currently being held in terrible conditions. He joins us now from al Fahm in Israel. Khaled, I understand you finally managed to visit a detainee there, the Palestinian journalist Mohammed Arab. He's been held without charge for 100 days. Let's start with what you saw on your visit.
This visit took place after trying for several times to visit the detention centers. Is one of the secret prisons, which is Sde Teiman, which is a military detention center that is under the Ministry of Defense of Israel. This was the first visit. Mohammed shared with us a lot of details and testimonies about what the detainees are being subjected to in these detention centers. They are being subjected to brutal methods of torture beyond imaginations. No human being can live under those conditions. Israel is making sure to keep them tortured and also beaten since the first day. Mohammed shared with us many details. For example, he's being handcuffed and blindfolded 24/7 for over 100 years, non-stop. They are only being able to have his hands free or having removed the shackles for 1 minute when he's taking a shower. They are allowed to take a shower for 1 minute, and everyone who exceeds this minute will be subjected to torture in a very brutal manner. Many other details, very desperate details that Mohammed shared with me that are beyond imaginations. I visited, in fact, in the past, 100 of detainees and prisoners since October 7. But what I've witnessed and what I've heard from Mohammed during the visit, in the visit room, I was able to notice that he was sad, and I felt helpless because I couldn't do anything for what Mohammed and his also other detainees are being subjected to. Mohammed is a journalist, as you know. We used to see him as he used to report on the situation in Gaza. He did not change his clothes for over 50 days now. He's wearing the same clothes, including underwear. He's not allowed to change his clothes along with the other detainees. They are also kept in barracks, which are big barracks. Mohammed is being detained with 100 other detainees. They sleep on the floor. They don't have blankets. They do not have pillows. They are exposed to hard conditions, and this situation has been on for over 100 days. I have a question. Are there any people in this world, any free people of this world who would accept such conditions, who would accept that a human being who's just a human being that should be handcuffed and also blindfolded for months, non-stop? They are seated all the time. They are not allowed to stand up. They are not allowed to talk to the other prisoners. They have to remain seated without talking, without moving. They remain seated, blindfolded. This is very difficult and challenging indeed, and this could cause pain. Mohammed came to the visit completely exhausted, physically exhausted. He lost weight also. And because he cannot move, his hands and his legs he's not able to move them because of this situation and this torture. He forgot how he can move his hands and his ankles, his legs. This is part of the torture that Mohammed shared with me, in addition to all the different torture methods that are being subjected to.
Sir, you speak about different types of torture. I understand that recently there have been allegations of sexual abuse, rapes taking place at this facility.
Yes, we have heard in the media before that there were rape cases, but today I've also witnessed firsthand from Mohammed the details of those rape cases. Mohammed shared with me that during the last month, the IDF soldiers raped 6 prisoners in front of all the other detainees using the most brutal methods. They have raped those detainees in front of the other detainees just to take revenge and also to give a lesson to the other detainees in order to terrorize them. This is one element, that is the rape cases. But we should not forget about the medical negligence. There is one health point under this detention center, but there is nothing in this health point. They are lacking all means that could be used in order to treat those detainees. There are some doctors and nurses that are also trying to undergo, they are also conducting surgeries without using anesthesia. They are also, how can someone undergo a surgery without anesthesia?
Indeed.
What Mohammed is suffering from in this detention center, along with the other detainees, is brutal and beyond imagination. We cannot imagine it in any world. No logic could allow us to have such a situation.
I do want to ask you, because we've heard too from the healthcare staff at that facility about amputations that have been forced to take place because of the use of handcuffs for such a long period of time. They've spoken about access, the need for access to detainees. I see Israel is now discussing a plan to replace even Red Cross visits to Palestinian prisoners, which have been suspended since the start of the war. Is there any access or any plan for access to the detainees there?
This is the first visit that I was allowed to conduct in my capacity of Palestinian lawyer. I've been allowed to conduct this visit after many efforts that we have exerted. We have sent many messages and letters until we've been able to conduct this visit. We hope that all the authorities will allow all the law practitioners and international organizations also to conduct visits in order to observe and witness the situations and conditions under which all the detainees are being held, so that they can make their voice heard. It is important to allow lawyers and international organizations to visit the detention centers, and we need also psychologists in order to treat those detainees. They desperately need all this. They are subjected to torture. They are not even allowed to talk to each other. Can you imagine a detainee that is detained for 100 days, that is not allowed to turn right or left or to talk to anyone? They are just talking to themselves. Mohammed is one of 100 of detainees was allowed to talk to a lawyer for 45 minutes after those 100 days in order to ask about his family and to send his message to the world, let alone the other tens or hundreds of detention. They desperately need the help of the whole world. The whole world should rally around their case in order to impose on Israel and ask her to and urge her to stop those torture methods.
Khaled.
Also, we should ask them to, the whole world is supporting Israel as it tries to release their hostages.
Khaled, thank you very much for sharing with us what you've seen and heard at the Sde Teiman facility. We've obviously heard some terrible, terrible stories from there. Great to get some first-hand testimony. Khaled Mahajneh there, a Palestinian lawyer who finally managed to visit one of his clients at that facility, telling us about the terrible conditions being faced there. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, a new wave of Israeli attacks, meanwhile, in central and southern Gaza has killed and injured several more Palestinians. At least 10 people have been killed and 30 injured in an Israeli attack east of Rafah just in the past few hours. Israeli forces are reported to have shelled a group of civilians. The injured have been taken to the European hospital, which is already overcrowded with patients. Israeli forces have also destroyed parts of the Rafah crossing in southern Gaza, as you can see, more than a month after they seized it. Video shows the burnt-out buildings, including the main terminal. Now, this was a vital route for aid flowing into Gaza from the Egyptian side. But Israel has since been blocking supplies from getting through since it took over that crossing on May the 7th. Well, let's get the latest now from our correspondent Tareq Azzoum. He joins us from Deir al Balah in the central part of the Gaza Strip. Tareq, we know that the airstrikes, the attacks are ongoing. Bring us up to speed on where they've been taking place.
Well, generally, the security situation across the Strip is escalating in a very high speed. Now, within the past hour, the Israeli military has targeted a group of Palestinians in the eastern portion of Rafah city, where at least 12 Palestinians have been reported killed, while 30 others being wounded. But surprisingly, what we have been confirmed and even hearing from the Ministry of Health in Al-Aqsa Hospital, that casualties and victims have been brought from Rafah district to Al-Aqsa Hospital, where we are right now, as civilians were forced to bring the casualties and driving for 25 kilometers until they can find a proper medical facility that can provide them with medical treatment, especially that the European hospital was unable to provide them with essential medical care. Those people who have been critically injured right now are receiving a treatment right now inside the department of Al-Aqsa Hospital. But as I'm talking to you right now, Anastasia, we are surrounded by two Israeli military quadcopter drones that are flying and hovering in a very low altitudes in the vicinity of the Al-Aqsa Hospital. People here have got a sense of fear that they might be doing something or might attack Palestinians within the coming hours. So there is a great sentiment of fear and even frustration among those Palestinians, as they are no longer can feel secured and safe, especially that we continue to hear loud Israeli bombardment and attacks in the northern portion of a Nusayrat refugee camp close to Netzarim Junction, where the vast majority of Israeli operations have been conducted from that area, where, according to Gaza's health ministry, at least more than 24 Palestinians have been killed within the past 24 hours, and this number is expected to rise within the coming hours. Anastasia.
Tareq Azzoum, they're reporting for us from the ground from Deir al Balah in the Gaza Strip. Thank you, Tareq.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.